Today we are working Psalm 120. Psalm 120 is one of the ascension psalms. Uses traditionally in magic for Psalm 120 are to overcome any false accusations, for success in court, and for protection from snakes. I would like today to use Psalm 120 as a truth spell. So anytime you need to know the truth about any situation or you need to invoke the law of divine truth into your life on any level, you can use Psalm 120 to do that. The way we work psalm magic is simple, easy, and effective. We speak the psalm all the way through once without stopping. This is known as an incantation. Then we go back through that same psalm and we consider each verse in turn. We search for hidden or occult meanings which lie behind each verse. And those are what we call magic seeds. And by taking some time and doing the work to find those magic seeds, what we're doing is planting them in the fertile grounds of our deep mind, where they take root, they grow, they blossom forth, and they bear fruit after their kind. And that's exactly what we are going to do right now together with Psalm 120. In my distress, I called unto the Lord, and he heard me. Deliver my soul, O Lord, from lying lips and from a deceitful tongue. What shall be given unto thee, or what shall be done unto thee, thou false tongue? Sharp arrows of the mighty with coals of juniper. Woe is me that I sojourn in Mesech, that I dwell in the tents of Kedar. My soul hath long dwelt with him that hateth peace. I am for peace, but when I speak, they are for war. Most of these ascension psalms are very uplifting. This one is almost a curse. And it's important for us to understand what we're doing here. Not only are we calling upon the law of infinite truth, but we are being clear as to why we're calling upon divine truth. Usually we don't call upon divine truth just because it feels good, although that would be wonderful to do. Usually the reason why we're calling upon divine truth to manifest is because something is inaccurate, something is false, there's lying going on, or at least a misunderstanding. So this is basically cursing that misunderstanding or dissolving the lie, dissolving the untruth. It starts out with, in my distress, I called unto the Lord, and he heard me. When the Psalms want to speed up the manifestation of something, they tend to talk in the past tense, as if it's already happened. And that's what we're doing here. We want an instantaneous manifestation of truth. In my distress, I cried unto the Lord. Now, the Lord is the Tetragrammaton. This is the authorized King James Version of the Bible, so it's very consistent with the translation of Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh to Lord. So when we say Lord, we're talking about the Tetragrammaton. And the Tetragrammaton is a symbol to us for the infinite source of all that is. Now think about what infinite is. There can't be two infinites, because then it wouldn't be infinite. Then you're making something finite. Even to say there's one infinite is making it finite. The infinite is infinite. There is, in the sense of how we can conceive of it, only one source. But that one source is all-encompassing. It's pre-gender. It's not separate or distinct from us. It is the source of all that is. And an image that can be useful is to see ourselves as an extension of that source, much like a beam of light from the sun or a star. In my distress, I cried unto that force. And to cry is similar to singing, although singing is usually done with joy and crying is done with anguish. Either way, we are making a disturbance in the atmosphere in order to change something, in order to make something different. What we're trying to change and make different is our distress. In my distress, I cried unto the Lord, and he heard me. And that's the law of the universe. You can't reach out to your source without it responding. but we have to instigate everything. And that's a magical axiom. A lot of times people will be wondering, why doesn't the infinite just make it work? Why doesn't the infinite just do it for me? I don't understand. Well, the infinite would love to do it for you, except for the infinite has given you freedom. And freedom comes with a price, that you are free. You can think anything you want to think. You can manifest anything you want to manifest. And very frequently, we believe that we are powerless, and then we use our minds to create powerlessness for ourselves. And it's saying here that the best way to use your free will is to cry unto the Lord, because the Lord hears you. One of the main qualities of the infinite is responsiveness. Deliver my soul, O Lord, from lying lips and from a deceitful tongue. We are asking for deliverance. Deliverance is instantaneous. Deliverance is done for us. So think about a letter being delivered to your mailbox. The letter doesn't deliver itself. The deliverance requires a carrier. So we can't deliver ourselves. We have to be delivered by the carrier. And the carrier in this sense is the Lord. The Lord is the source of all that is, and therefore it can't fail. We are asking for deliverance from whatever the untruth is. It's saying lying lips and from a deceitful tongue. Now, remind yourself that everything in the physical universe is a reflection of an invisible cause. What are the lying lips and deceitful tongue that exist in us? That's what we have to look at. That's the ego mind. That's the idea that we're separate. That's the idea that we are vulnerable. That's the idea that we have no power in the world. And as long as we identify with that idea, we are going to encounter circumstances that prove that to us. It's the job of the world of effect to gather evidence to support whatever the belief is. As long as we are believing that we are a product of lying lips and a deceitful tongue, we will have only lying lips and a deceitful tongue to contend with in the physical world. And it's so important to understand this, because although you can use magic to handle a circumstance in isolation, that is like taking an aspirin. It can provide temporary relief, but it's not taking care of the cause. And pretty soon it won't work anymore. Just like with any drug, you develop a tolerance to it. Rather than trying to deal with the symptoms, like we always do, of whatever the deceit is, what we want to do is we want to remove the cause. And the cause that we can have 100% control over is whether we want to let go of the idea that we are a product of lying lips and a deceitful tongue. In other words, that we are a product of the ego. We weren't created by an ego. We weren't created out of separation. We are created in the moment as an extension of truth. And so since we are an extension of truth, as long as we allow ourselves to be defined by that truth rather than by the lies of our ego, then calling upon and invoking divine truth in any situation is easy. It's just normal. But if we believe that we're separate, if we believe that we are insignificant and small and all of the other lies of the ego, if we believe that we are products of those lies, then our ability to invoke divine truth is very limited, even though that's what the infinite's will for us is. The infinite can't go against the laws of cause and effect. Won't go, can't go, not going to happen. The infinite is not chaos. The infinite is order, and there is order in the law. And the law of cause and effect enables you to drop a book and the book falls to the floor. Hitler dropped a book and the book fell to the floor. Jesus would drop something and it would fall to the floor. Mother Teresa would take something and it would drop to the floor. Stalin would drop something, it would fall to the floor. It doesn't matter who you are. The law is eternal for everybody, and that's cause and effect. Until we are willing to have the causes within our deep minds removed that enable us to be in a situation where we are being lied to, until we are willing to remove those causes, the effects are always going to be showing themselves to us, because it's just the law. It's just how it works. Sharp arrows of the mighty with coals of juniper. Now we are coming up with punishments in our mind for these liars. So we want to punish the ego. We want to punish the liars. We want to destroy these evildoers. And it's okay for us in the context of this psalm to come up with that. But ultimately, the psalm will give this over to the infinite to take care of for us. But we do have to go through the machinations of what our desire is. And our desire is to have sharp arrows of the mighty with coals of juniper, hot coals in their mouths, arrows in their tongues. Woe is me that I sojourn in Mesech, that I dwell in the tents of Kedar. This particular verse confounds many of the scholars. It's really not that hard to understand. These are places and or tribes that are far away from ancient Israel in two different faraway locations. So when it says that I sojourn here and I dwell there, they made sure that it was obvious that this was a symbol, because there's no way physically that the psalmist was sojourning in one and dwelling in the other, because they were so far away from each other. However, in their mind, they're sojourning and dwelling in these places, because both of these places depict war, brutality, barbarism, malcontentment, and cruelty. We are exclaiming and being clear here that where we live in this physical world that is causing us to call for divine truth is that of barbarism, cruelty, meanness, lying, deceit, war, and awfulness on all accounts. And it's understandable why, when we're going through what we're going through, we want to punish those people or those situations, and we want to curse them. It's natural to want that. But what we don't usually automatically come to terms with is that we take responsibility for them in our lives, because on some level, there is a corresponding belief or thought within our own minds that keeps them in place there. Since these are ascension psalms, the idea ultimately for these psalms is that we ascend, not only solve a problem in the physical universe, but that we actually ascend and become actualized to ourselves as spiritual beings. What we need to ask for when we're looking at Mesech and Kedar is that we no longer are willing to see ourselves as products of a violent mind, because that's what the ego is. It's a violent mind. It's a violence against ourselves. We are trying to be violent against the Creator by separating ourselves from it. And that type of violence causes us to believe that we've harmed or even killed our Creator. And this is very subconscious, but we go around being afraid of the repercussions of that, the punishment of that. So our desire to punish our enemies is trying to beat to the punch. If I am able to attack my enemies, then I won't be attacked. What we want to do instead is stop the self-attack, the self-abuse, the self-denial, the self-incrimination and recrimination that we do. And that is why this Ascension Psalm can be so powerful, because we are actually letting go of our attachments to the need for self-denial and separation and guilt and violence within ourselves. My soul hath long dwelt with him that hateth peace. This is truth. We have been willing to dwell in our own minds with this imposter, this ego mind, this imposter that hates peace. You can test this yourself. How easy is it for you to relax? How easy is it for you to close your eyes and just feel at peace and fabulous, and to not think about anything except for how wonderful the infinite is? How challenging is that? Why is that? Because you coexist with a part of your mind that hates it. Now, hate in the Bible means turning away from. It constantly is trying to get you to turn away from peace, which is your natural state, by the way. You were created as peaceful. That's why the meek inherit the earth, because once you return to your right mind, then you're home. We were created to be peaceful. But the imposter inside of our minds turns away from that peace at all times. That's why we have to be vigilant for peace and recognize that in this world, because of how we have adopted an identification with this falseness, this false self, that it seems unnatural for us to be peaceful, when in reality, that is the most natural state of being. So we've got to be vigilant for peace here and recognize the true enemy is the one inside of us, the one between our ears, and everything else is a reflection of that enemy. So until you're able to have that peace and to establish that peace and to want nothing but that peace, blaming external circumstances is understandable, but it's a delay tactic. It's a delay tactic. Now this is your soul talking. I am for peace. I am for peace. That's who you are. As an extension of the infinite, you are for peace. That's who you are. But when I speak, they are for war. Who is they? The thoughts in the ego mind that is against peace. It's against you. The ego mind wants you destroyed. The ego mind isn't finished until you're dead. That's how insane the ego is, because if you die, it dies. It's nothing more than a parasite. Now, it won't come out and let you know that. It likes to do things very slyly, very cunningly. And what it likes to do most frequently is get you to believe that your ego thoughts are you. And so you can understand that the part of you that says, I am for peace, is the observer. The stuff that's not for peace is the observed. And once you can realize that, then you can understand that none of this that it's doing, this ego mind, has any power over you. It's just noise. It can't kill you. It can't do anything, but it can get you to destroy yourself if you start to believe that it's you. So your job is to make peace your only goal. Your job is to make peace the only thing that matters to you. Because if you can find that peace, even for a little moment every day, each and every day, the jig is up. You're no longer fooled by the ego mind. You no longer get involved. It's over. And when it's over, so are all the lies outside of you. They're over. Nobody has any power over you anymore. You are completely one with your power. You've reclaimed your power. Your ego no longer can convince you to hurt yourself. And it also no longer can convince you to project ideas of harm into your world. And so therefore, any lies or problems with the truth outside of you no longer have any power over you, and they are seen as what they are. They're seen for what they are, lies. And when you, the part of you that says, I am for peace, is clear on that, the lies get dispelled and you are safe. And all the situations in your life that have been affected by those lies or those untruths are completely cleared up spontaneously, because that's the way cause and effect works. So you have to just keep coming back to the psalm again and again and allow your mind to be cleansed from this idea of lies. And therefore, lies outside of you are cleaned up, they are eradicated, and they don't bother you anymore. Thank you so much for joining us today. Until next time, blessed be.